Hi everyone, I'm Farisya, and today with me I have a very special guest, Mr. Ross Monahan, who is also my former lecturer when I was in university in Australia in Deakin University. Hi Ross.
I appreciate it. It's great to be with you. Thanks for reaching out. It's one of the great things that's happening to society at the moment. Lots of bad things.
Yes, I miss Australia. I miss university life. I miss the time when I was in back in Geelong in Melbourne, in Australia, studying in Deakin University. And Mr. Ross Monahan here is my former lecturer in PR, public relations. Okay, so today for our topic, we're going to talk about the differences between both countries, Australia and Malaysia, on how we handling COVID-19, the RMO situation here. So, Ross, over to you.
Yeah, well, what's happening in Australia? There's so much to talk about. Look, I know that some of what's been happening in Australia has actually made world headlines for good reasons, others not for bad reasons. One of the things that I think many people will be familiar with was many people going to the beach here in Australia. So end of March, the weather is okay now.
People are still going to the beach?
Look, it's Australia. Look, well, yeah. So, they're at the beach, and particularly up in Sydney.
Yeah, but they do know that they're supposed to be at home, and
yeah, look, that's the Aussie attitude, I think, quite often, and that it'll be right. And I think getting the message across to younger people has been particularly challenging, both for governments here in Australia, but also internationally as well. That's one of the hard messages that I think that this virus reports are that if you're younger and quite healthy, the symptoms mightn't be all that bad. But of course, that isn't the worry for us as a society, that it's our older people and it's the vulnerable people that are most at risk. But of course, if lots of them are going to be impacted and our hospitals are overwhelmed, then at the end of the day, everyone is going to be impacted because, during the peak, it's possible that there will be people who, in emergency situations with nothing to do with COVID, won't be able to be treated properly because our hospital systems will be overwhelmed. So trying to get that message across has been really difficult. And I know for the Australian government, they've been trying to walk this fine line between telling people that it's serious and that we need to do something, but also, of course, you don't want to go out and scare people as well. And I think there are many mixed messages coming from governments, both in Australia and globally as well. I mean, I think what's happened in the US has been particularly well publicised. But to a certain extent, I think that's been happening in many other countries as well. There's been some great examples of good communication over in New Zealand. Jacinda Ardern has communicated clearly and quickly. I know you're a big fan of empowering females. Great example of
so I follow Jacinda Ardern on Facebook. And she delivered her message clearly to the New Zealander and to her people.
That's a great sign of a great leader, that you can communicate clearly and succinctly. And I think when leaders do that, it can actually have a big impact on society and stress levels, and getting people to understand what they need to do. And doing it in a timely way. And, whilst Australia has managed it reasonably well, I think there's lots of lessons for improvement. And I'm sure the government and health authorities here and overseas will look and see what's happened. But, look, nothing like this has happened since the Spanish flu of, 1918, I think it was.
This is the first time for everybody, and this is the first time for me as well. And this experience, It's the first time for all of us, all around the world, not just in Australia, even in Malaysia, globally, everywhere. So it's a situation where we have to learn to survive and survival skills and how do we have to cope in this difficult situation. So tell me more about the laws in Australia, like from the Australian government. Like, is people still going out, or are they required to stay at home and only buy the food and necessities when they need to?
Yeah. So look, it's changing day by day, and even decisions that the government are making have changed from day to day after people have been questioning. Look, in short, at the moment, and from today, the government is basically saying, whilst it's not a lockdown, don't leave your house unless it's absolutely essential. So unless you need medical treatment, unless you need to go to
groceries,
the market, yeah, they're about the only reasons that you should be going out. Now, I noticed that there are still people, lots of people, of course, out walking the dogs, and parks have been particularly busy. But as things have progressed, you know, the messages, I think, have been mixed. I mean, some things have been inconsistent as well. About 4 days ago, the government announced that weddings, you're only allowed 5 people at a wedding. Yet in the same breath, they said if it's a funeral, you can have 10 people there. Which I think quite rightly people were saying, well, how are 10 people together safer if somebody's, you know, passed away than a wedding? They said haircuts are okay, as long as you maintain the 1.5 metres and it doesn't take more than 30 minutes for the haircut. People started questioning those sorts of issues. So, you know, there's been some awkward issues from our federal government. And of course, in Australia, we have a 3-tiered system of government as well. So local government for smaller areas, state governments who have take care of the health departments in the states, and then we have the federal government as well. And of course, not all of the state premiers in Australia are in the same party as the federal government. So there's been some, you know, toing and froing and some, I won't say heated discussions, but, you know, some premiers are wanting action to happen sooner rather than later.
Yes.
We have some unique situations, you know, Tasmania, of course, being the being an island, they moved pretty quickly to make sure that travel was restricted. Western Australia, off the other side of Australia, you know, it's, yeah, 3-hour flight. They've pretty much closed down their borders to even interstate travel. So, look, there's a lot of things that are going on. Just as of today, so I'm just reading from the website, public gatherings excluding household members have been reduced to a maximum of 2 people. But state and territory websites have specific details on that. They're saying everyone should stay home except for shopping, medical care, exercise and travelling. And they're, of course, encouraging people over 70 and over 60 if you've got an underlying health issue.
The senior citizens, yeah.
And also our Indigenous communities are also quite vulnerable and quite exposed, not only because of some of the horrendous health conditions and lack of support services in regional communities. So, you know, restrictions have been placed on going to those areas as well. And I can imagine that would be an issue in other countries as well.
Yeah, it's the same thing here in Malaysia. So in Malaysia, especially our Prime Minister have advice to all of the citizens of Malaysia not to go out, stay at home, stay safe, stay at home, and only go out when they need to. So let's say, for example, similar to Australia as well, if we need to go and buy groceries at the supermarket, So we're allowed to go to the supermarket, but only the head of the family is allowed. So one person from the house, one representative from the house to go to the grocery store and buy the list of items. And let's say, for example, like if it's really, really important, then only like you can go out to the grocery store and buy groceries and food, because these are necessities. Okay, apart from that, all of the citizens in Malaysia have to abide by the rules, the rules by the government of Malaysia. So let's say if you really need to go to the supermarket, only one person, the head of the family, is allowed to go to the supermarket and buy the food items. So you have to always stay safe and take care. And after returning from the supermarket, make sure you have a shower, wash yourself, and wash your hands. You have to make sure that you're clean. And also when you go out to the supermarket, wear a mask all the time, mask and glove. So these are all the measures that's being done by the Malaysian government that all of the citizens need to adhere to. So we have to follow. So how about in Australia? Like, so in Malaysia, it has been day 13, is the 13th day in Malaysia. How about in Australia? How many days?
Look, hard to say, because I think the advice has been changing from day to day. Whilst we're not technically at a lockdown now, so it's hard to actually to give you a day because we're not actually locked down. And for me personally, as an academic, a lot of my work is done online anyway, and I've got a fairly good office setup. I've got to admit, it feels a bit strange to me, people talking about, well, how do you go working at home and things like, you know, is your chair comfortable? Is it ergonomic? It's like, these are things that I dealt with 15 years ago.
I mean, it's different for people. Like it's different for different job scope. Like maybe let's say if the person is doing sales or business development, we're so used to meeting our clients outside, you know, having meeting physically. And let's say right now we're in this situation, RMO, due to COVID-19, where all of us are required to stay at home. And we can't set a meeting with our clients face to face, but we do have another option, which is via technology using Zoom, Skype. So we need to make use of the technology, make use of the Zoom or Skype and the learning tools that is online. So I guess the silver lining behind all of this experience and challenges is we're constantly learning new things. It's like, for example, like me, I've never used Zoom before, and then suddenly this happened, and I learned quick with technology, and it's pretty simple to register and sign up. And for me, I think that every day we learn new things. So we learn new things every day. So with technology, it's quickly evolving, it's changing. So it's the same thing as challenges as well. So right now, it's not just a national crisis, but it's all over the world. So everybody around the world is facing the COVID-19 situation. So we have to make use of technology. So even though we're at home right now, we can still be productive. We can still share our view with people. So for example, like what we're doing right now. So we're still being productive despite being confined in our own homes and not be able to go out like we used to. I can't go to my office. I can't meet my clients. I can't meet my friends. And I miss going to the gym, but we always have to think positive. Always think positive despite of any challenges that we may face. There is a silver lining. So the silver lining is I learn new skills, which is technology. I learn about Zoom, and we learn fast and quick, and we also learn to adapt to challenges, and it teaches us to be agile right? The agility, the ability to be agile in certain environment, in any situation. So we have to have that adaptability to always be uncomfortable and always be brave to get out of the comfort zone. And that is the only way that we will learn new things, by challenging ourselves and also be brave to go to uncharted territories such as this. So for me, I think that it's also a blessing in disguise, because despite all of this, look at this. We're having a conversation, and I am in Malaysia. You're in Australia. So for me, I think with technology, it connects us. So regardless of where we are around the world, so we have to make full use of technology. And of course, we have to also hope and pray. Let's pray and hope that the situation will get better. The situation will get better, and all of us can continue with our normal routines and everyday life. So I would like to say a huge thank you and a sincere appreciation to all the hardworking medical staff, to our nurses, our doctors, not just in Malaysia, not just in Australia, but all of the doctors, nurses, and medical teams all around the world. Everywhere around the world are working constantly, day and night, working hard to save life and to save innocent people and patients from coronavirus. So this goes out to all of you, all the hardworking medical staff, the nurses, the doctors, the ambulance, medical team. So these are our frontliners. And really, we feel really, to know that they work hard day and night to save life. So like for here in Malaysia, we have Ministry of Health in Malaysia. We have our minister constantly giving us updates on COVID-19, how many cases, how many patients, and all of the recent updates on COVID-19. And we have a really good team of dedicated medical people in Ministry of Health in Malaysia. So how about in Australia? Like, how are the nurses, the doctors, the medical team, the Ministry of Health in Australia? What are the initiatives being done by the Australian government in order to make the citizens in Australia feel safe despite of the current situation, and to make them also stay at home?
Well, there's a number of issues there. One, I think, going back to a negative for just 1 minute, one of the issues that we're facing is a lack of protective gear for our medical staff. But the flip side of that, to look at I guess, the great work that they're doing, is despite all of those challenges, and I think the medical fraternity know more than just about any other group in society what's coming with the big wave. They are as prepared as they can be, despite the lack of
they're well prepared.
And it must be frightening for them. So they're dealing with that really well. I saw a tweet yesterday about another university that teaches doctors, and I think they had about 1,500 medical students, and they put a call out saying, look, we're in an emergency situation. If you would like to help and get involved, send us an email. The lecturer said that overnight he received 1,499 emails.
Oh, that's amazing.
Saying, we're there for you. And he did point out that the one person was probably that one person that never reads that email. But look, the other thing I would say, and look, absolutely, our medical, the medical community, the doctors, the nurses, the GPs who must be, working and being really stressed. Things like dentists are under difficult situations because they can't get the protective gear. All of that is absolutely fantastic. The other thing I would say, another shout out I would like, is to give to people looking after or in supermarkets. and the supply chains and all of these things, and the farmers, everyone that's still working, getting these products to us, because whilst a lot of society has closed down, there are, you know, if you think about the poor, people behind the checkouts in the supermarkets and people at markets, they're still working. They must be dealing with a lot of stressed people, worried about their own health as well. The logistics, the supply chain people who are working overtime, because there's been quite a bit of panic buying right around the world. So getting those products back to people.
The police.
The police, the emergency services.
Emergency staff, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there are people in the utilities who need to, you know, we need them to keep our lights on. We need to turn the tap and for water to still come out. So there are lots of people working in really difficult situations, and that they deserve a pat on the back. And I can't tell you how appreciative I am of them. And also people in general. I mean, by this stage, you would expect to hear some stories about people taking advantage of situations, things like looting, other things which could happen. There have been very few of those so far. So, which is, look, I think it is, which is fantastic. That I think most of the people I know, my friends, my students, alumni like yourself, I've had more people reaching out to me. It's absolutely fantastic. So whilst I am somewhat limited about getting out and about when I need to, there have been fantastic people who are making sure that the supplies are there. We've got toilet paper, we've got alcohol when I go to Dan Murphy's, the liquor store. When we want fruit and veggies, that's there. Bread still being made. The takeaway stores, you can still go and get a coffee. Although, look, just secretly, I did buy a couple of extra bags of coffee beans.
Cheese, some snacks, chicken, chocolates and stuff.
Yeah, so look, I'm really appreciative for all those people like yourself who have reached out to say, am I okay? My neighbours have come together as well. We're all looking after each other. So, it's been difficult. We're not at the peak of difficulties yet. And that's going to add another layer of stress to everyone. But I think at the moment, whilst we're all stressed, I think there are lots of positive signs there, as you point out.
Yes, I try to keep myself focused and positive at all times. So how I keep myself focused and positive is like I read a book or I read something interesting online on LinkedIn and read motivational speeches, quotes, motivational videos, and do a podcast such as this, and also educate and empower people around us to know that they're not alone. So all of us are in the same situation. So all of us around the world are in the same situation. So I think it's very important for all of us to always look out and take care of each other. So even though that we are far apart, miles apart, different continent, different country, you can be in America, you can be in London, you can be in Paris, you can be in Australia, in Melbourne, and I'm here in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, but we can always look after each other online. So we have technology, we have the beauty of technology connecting us with Zoom, we have the Wi-Fi and the internet connecting us wherever we are. So it's always important to take care of each other and to take care of your mental well-being, despite that we are in the crisis situation right now. And we have to thank all of the frontliners, the doctors, the nurses, the policemen, the ambulance, what else? All the rescue teams, the grocery store, even our cashier. We have to appreciate them because they are working. They are working right now. The supermarket. So whenever you go to the supermarket and meet your cashier upon cashing out and paying for your items, talk to them, chat with them, chat to the cashier staff and check on them how they're doing, because they are also like us. They're human beings and they're currently working, and it's very important for us to check out on one another and to see if you're okay, if our friends is okay. Hey, I'm going to the grocery store. Okay, I'm going to chat with the cashier staff because they are also human like us, and they are doing a very good job working in this situation that we're in. They're providing us food. So when we're going to the grocery store, getting our milk, bread, cheese, chicken, and all of our grocery items, don't forget to thank the cashier staff and also the grocery store, the security guard, and all of the team that are working, because they are working right now. And all of us, we have to also always be grateful and thankful, appreciate one another, appreciate people around you. And this is the way for us to grow, move forward, and for us to always be thankful and grateful for all of the blessing despite in whatever situation that we're in. So Ross, do you have any advice that you would like to share with the viewers?
Look, I'd just like to emphasise what you said, and that's to look after everyone else, but also look after us individually.
Of course, we have to look after ourselves as well.
So
that's very important.
I mean, today, you know, look, you know, really important. You know, when you're feeling a bit stressed out, take 5 minutes to sit down, calm down, think about
exercise. Yeah, exercise. Yeah.
But look, you know, the way I like to take my mind off my troubles is to help other people as well. And so, look, you know, thinking about my place in the world and how lucky I am and giving back to other people, I've got to say that the best reward I have, actually it's probably the best reward is, you know, when people, you know, benefit if I help them or they smile because of something nice I've done. But also my final tip is it's great, and one of the things that's brought my alumni and amazing former students like yourself back to me, it's great to see people growing, learning from these situations, and people looking out for each other and sharing information like this. So Farisya, well done.
Thank you, Ross. And I think in times like this, it's important for all of us to take care of each other. So not just in our country, but everywhere. So all around the world, we're all connected and we have internet. Just check out on our friends. Our friends might be in Australia or in France or in UK or in Indonesia, in Singapore. All we have to do is just connect them by Zoom or by Skype, or we can do like, what else? We have a Facebook video. There's so many application with technology right now. And
I'm going to tell you there and say you don't even need an excuse. I mean, I've put on my LinkedIn page, anyone want to get on Zoom and let's have a chat. I've done this with my work colleagues. It's worked amazingly well.
Yeah.
So don't hesitate. Look, you know, reach out to people and say, hey, look, do you want to chat? Just do it. So look, if anyone wants to chat with some Aussies, some you know, alumni, just check out my Facebook page and I'll have some links as well.
Thank you so much, Ross. Thank you for sharing with us on the situation that is going on in Australia on COVID-19 and the RMO, and for sharing with us your thoughts and your views and also advice to all the viewers out there. Okay, thank you, Ross. Stay safe. Take care. Bye. Bye.